everyone, we're here today to bring you some hand quilting and Sachiko method of finishing your quilts. Since my mom's sewing machine's still in the sewing machine spa, and she's going to be out soon, but you know, we're kind of waiting. So I thought, well, we'll show you some hand sewing or some hand quilting, but first I want to show you a Sachiko. Sachiko is a really cool finish for your quilts, and it does protect your quilt quite a bit if it's put in the border. What this does is over quilt the border, but it doesn't shrink it, right? Because Sachiko makes the fabric very strong, right? And it provides such lovely texture. It's just gorgeous. So what you'll need to do any hand quilting is a hoop if you prefer. I can't use a hoop. This is my mom's hoop, and I can't manage it. For some reason it's just too big for me, but it was fine for her. So you could get smaller quilting hoops. They're about like this big. So I mean, it's whatever you prefer. So we're going to break this down into hand quilting and doing the Sachiko border. But right now we're going to do a Sachiko border. Now there's a bunch of things you can use with your hand stitching or hand quilting. And this is Pearl Cotton 8. And this is what people prefer to do the big stitch. This is somewhere between big stitch and little stitch. So what I'm going to be showing you, and this is perfect for a beginner. It's a perfect finish, right? But most people use Pearl Cotton. Another thing they use is a marking utensil like this. Now I'll show you what this does when we get closer, but what it does is marks a line in your fabric that just rubs out with your finger, you know. So you will need thread conditioner, and what I'm going to be using for today is embroidery floss, because I have buckets of it. And I'm using 3 strands of embroidery floss, and I've got, on this quilt now, I've got only the gray and white left, so that's what I've pulled out. But you know, you can use whatever you want. If you can use just plain airfill 50 weight or hand quilting threads, whatever specialty thread you feel comfortable using. But I'm going to show you this method so you don't need a hoop and you can just hold the quilt in your hand. So come on over and we'll show you how it's done. I'll get my hair out of the way because quilting your hair into a quilt is never a good idea. Okay, so we finally got my hair all out of the way, and what we're going to need is, like, this is almost a 20 chenille needle that I'm using, and it's got quite the sharp tip on it. And I've got 3 strands of embroidery floss already loaded onto my machine, and here is, and it's got a knot at the end. Right, like you can do either a quilter's knot or a granny knot or whatever. Because the end is open, this side is open, you can just slip your needle into wherever you need to be here, because we're working on the border right now. And so you can use thread conditioner. This is one my husband and I made, and this is a Hera marker. Now this is a cool little tool by Clover. What you do is you take a ruler and you take your line, and then you just draw another line with it. Then you can take any straight edge. My husband's grabbed my add a quarter ruler, so I could go from here to here and give me a guideline as to where I'm going to sew. Now it's a really faint line, but if you put more pressure into it, of course, you can see there's a ridge here. I don't think you guys can see it on the camera, but I can see it here. But it also comes out right away. If you just rub it like that and it's gone. So it's not going to create a mark or a crease in your fabric. So because I've been doing this for a while, on the border, as you can see, I've got lots of this done already. I don't really need the Hera marker, but I mean, this is one of the ways people used to mark their hand quilting. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move some of this out. Now these are the needles that my needle book, and like I have everything here from some old needles that my mom had to proper Sachiko needles. Now you see they're longer and the eyes are quite a bit bigger I don't know if you, nope, it's not going to focus. Oh, come on, focus. No, it's fine. But you can use, I kind of like the 22s or the 24s. They're a little bit easier for me to thread. And I've got, you know, a bunch of different needles in my needle case, but, you know, you can use a proper Sachiko needle. Some people don't like the length of them, but, I mean, that's up to you. Now, if you're using the pearl cottons and the beautiful colors, you do want something like a chenille 20 or up, right? You want a bigger eye because this is a lot to pull through. And it's pretty heavy to pull through, you know, fabric. And it does come in just gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Here, look at these purples and reds and yellows and greens. They're just wow. So I'm using embroidery cotton because I have buckets of it. And I mean buckets of it. And I don't embroider. So I figured, okay, well, we'll use, like, this is all the greens and the browns that I have, but I sorted them by color so they're easier to pick out. So right now I'm using grays and whites, and we will get there on this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this. Now I know this is right on the edge, but this is a really cool way of getting your border, you know, keeping it very, very flat. And there's no waves in this border at all. You've got nothing but beautiful texture. So let's get started here. Now I just slip my needle under the fabric. Oops, let's see, let's get you a little closer here. I just slip it under the fabric like so. Just like that. Right? I've got, so I'm not really through the cotton batting. And this is why Sachiko and cotton batting works so well. So now I've already buried my knot in the side because I can reach anywhere in this little square area that I'm doing from the edge. I don't have to worry about popping my knot. So I just start, and I try not to get too crazy as to where this is. Now I'm hoping, can you see that? I'm hoping you can see that. Because you just go through like so, and you push. Now if you want, you can use what's the word I'm looking for? One of those things that fit a thimble that puts on your finger. But you're not rocking your stitches like you would in a traditional hand stitching, right? Like you're just basically putting the 3 layers together just by manipulating the fabric over and under that needle. That's it. That's all you're doing. And when I get to the corner, okay, when I get to this corner, I'll show you here in a sec. And you just keep pulling your embroidery floss through. So there we go. And we're almost there. And I get almost to the 1/4 inch. Leaving about almost a 1/4 inch before I stop, right? And now I'm going to go the other way, this way. And I always find one way is easier to sew than the other, but you got to get this where it's comfortable. Normally I sit in the living room on my little love seat with my legs up in the air. It's got a footrest there, and I just put this on. This is a beautiful way of using the quilt before it's finished, because I just drape it all over me. It's wonderful. And there we go. And it doesn't take long. And you don't have to be a precise 1/4 inch to do this Sachiko, right? Because all the Sachiko is going to do is strengthen your quilt. And you could do this throughout the entire quilt if you wanted, but you would be there for months doing this, because it does go fast. But I can only quilt in one direction, and that's from right to left. And I know some quilters that get really good at this, and they go any direction you want. They can go up and down, but that's maybe I'm challenged that way. I can only go from right to left, and I kind of, you know, you're looking for even stitches. That's all you're looking for. You're not looking for anything other than even. And you can load up quite a few stitches on there, as many as you feel comfortable with, and as many as you can push through. Now you're going to find that, well, sometimes you can push through lots and sometimes you can't push through very many. One of the things that, as I'm working this, I'm finding that I use, there's different shades of gray that I'm using, and it's creating a lovely change in color from one to the next in this, by doing it this way. You know, that just by doing your Sachiko, and then, because look here, like I've got a dark all of a sudden through here, and that's just, you know, it's just gorgeous what's happening here with this. So anyways, I've got a paler bluey gray right there. So yeah, I'm using up all this embroidered cotton that, like I say, I don't embroider, and I've actually given a bunch of it away, but oh well. I hope she has a better chance of using it than I do. So, and she's actually using it for embroidery. So anyways, now they also have those little gripper things where if you load up your where it actually can pull your needle through if you don't have enough strength in your hands to pull your needle. Now I'm right at that quarter, right, where I'm going to have to change directions again. And basically it grips your needle, and it'll help you, gives you extra things to pull. I don't need one of those yet, but it's like, acts like a little plunger, and it grabs onto the metal of the needle and helps pull your fabric, or pull your needle through your work. But you can load up as many stitches as you like. The more stitches you line up, because your needle is straight, your stitching will be straight. So that's, I'll just get a little bit more length there. And like I say, you just keep going right to the edge. Now I could knot off at the edge, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep stitching around this and finish this little block of what I'm doing. I hope you guys can really see this, because this would be, and I basically now just change directions as to where I'm going, and now I'm going back up and this way and across. That's it. That's your Sachiko border. Now I got to show you the back. This is the back, and it is absolutely fabulous soft texture. It is just wonderful. And this is the simplest Sachiko stitch you can do, but it does create wonderful, wonderful texture. So that's it. That's how simple it is. Okay, here's what the corner of it looks like. And now you can see the edge here. It's all, this is all going to be hid in the seam allowance of the binding when I put it on. But there's some, you know, bluey grays, and there's some warmer grays. We've got a little bit of a dark steely gray. So, I mean, this is all kind of ends up being all over the place with the colors when you're using embroidery floss. But it's just a gorgeous gray palette. So, and like I say, I've got quite a bit of this done now, but, and here's a little bit more, oops, there's a little bit more done. I don't know. Here we go. Okay, and here's what the back looks like. Oh, there's a, see, and it never really puckers. Like this, once it's washed, like, okay, this area right here, looks like it's puckered. But once this is washed, you're not going to see this. You're not going to see it at all. And you can barely feel it because you have so much more control when you're hand quilting. Or hand Sachiko, or doing this, in this case, hand Sachiko. Okay, so we're done showing you what we had to show you, but this is what this quilt looks like. This is the one that's behind me when we do the exit shot, and it is just it's coming together very quickly. The actual, if I wouldn't have picked such a more difficult border edge, I would have been done this already. But I wouldn't have used so many beautiful shades of gray embroidery floss, so I'm kind of glad I'm doing it this way. And it was on hold while my finger was healing up, but so this is where we're at right now. I want to mention somebody too. If you want to check out somebody who's doing beautiful work, just outstanding work by hand, you got to go check out Quilting for the Soul. She captured my heart when she was doing the Parasol Ladies, where she was doing all hand applique, and it was just stunning quilt that she made. And you know, now she's doing a cathedral window, and every time I watch her videos, it's such a beautiful quilt she's working on. My heart just flutters with excitement for her. So I'm going to put her link in the show notes below. Please go check her out. Please subscribe to her too if you find her stuff interesting at all. She does some lovely, lovely work. Anyways, come on back and we'll show you how to do hand quilting. Okay, bye! If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.